Well, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit just upheld the TikTok ban. Now, if you don't recall, the TikTok ban wasn't actually a ban. It was a piece of legislation that was enacted by Congress in April of 2024 called the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversaries Controlled Applications Act. So what the hell does that all mean, and why is it resulting in a TikTok ban? If you recall, Congress was very concerned about China having access to United States user data and information because they thought it could be a lot easier for them to get a spy or foreign people in here to look at our recipes, learn dances. I don't know. Regardless, they thought of it as a true national security issue. It was brought up to Congress. Congress agreed. They enacted this law. This law was put on Joe Biden's desk and it was signed in April of this year. That piece of legislation required that if a foreign adversary was going to control a particular application, they needed to divest ownership of that application, meaning they needed to give it to somebody that was here in the United States. And ByteDance was trying to say, well, we already have headquarters here in the United States. We have all of our data held here in the United States. And the government said, no, that's not good enough. And it's not good enough because the parent company still has access to that data, even though the data is held and stored here. Basically giving them one choice: sell everything and start a new company here in the United States that has no ties to the parent company in China, or we are going to remove you from the App Store and we're going to stop giving people access to the app. ByteDance has already made it clear that divesting ownership is not an option for them because in order to do so, they'd have to get ownership of the algorithm, which is what's responsible for feeding you your FYP. And unfortunately, the parent company in China owns that and they're not willing to give it to ByteDance so that they can start afresh here in the United States. So it's basically a no-win situation for ByteDance, which is TikTok's parent company. So what did ByteDance do? They brought a lawsuit challenging the constitutionality of the law that was enacted by Congress. They brought up a number of arguments, but the main one was that it infringed on First Amendment rights of people here using the app. And that lawsuit was just tested in court today by the Court of Appeals in the DC Circuit in District of Columbia. And that court said, no, we're going to go ahead and uphold what Congress has done because they don't see it as an infringement on First Amendment rights because they're saying, well, we're not actually stopping anybody from their speech. They can still get their speech out there. They just don't necessarily have to use TikTok to do it. So what happens next? Well, TikTok can do a number of things. The first thing that they can do is they can try to file an emergency appeal to the Supreme Court. Whether or not the Supreme Court will grant certiorari or cert is up to the Supreme Court. I don't think they're going to grant it. And if they don't grant it and they don't look at it at the case, then the case dies and the DC Circuit's decision will be upheld, meaning that's where it ends. And that's it for TikTok. The thing that they can do is appeal to Congress and hope that they can maybe get some kind of amendment written into the legislation or get something done to forestall it. I think there is a 30-day window that they can ask for, or a certain period of time that they can ask for if there's a sale that's already ongoing. Now, the interesting thing is that this goes into effect on January 19th. And I say that this is interesting because one day before Trump's inauguration, TikTok ban will go into effect. Trump, in his last term, tried to ban TikTok and then pulled back on it, said that he wanted to work with TikTok and try to get, some other kind of deal in place because he knows that a lot of people really like it and it was going to lose him a lot of support. So TikTok may want to consider making this a Donald Trump problem and see if they can get some kind of conversation going with him once he gets inaugurated, because it's literally like one day away. He may want to undo this. He may not want TikTok to be banned, although he'd expressed interest in doing it before, so we never know really what's going on with him. Generally speaking, looks like this ban is going to go into effect and this app is officially going to go kaput as of January 19th, 2025. I would say follow for more, but you might not see much more of me. So if you want to follow me on YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook, I'll put my handles here. Thanks so much.